Welcome to Beauties, you beauty. Let's go.
Moving over to the NWSL, big movement there as the CBA has been agreed upon finally for these women to like be protected, be a legitimate league,
Be
like
able to fight
be
for their own rights.
be
The
able
the
to
fact that that was, I guess, probably one of the biggest shocks to me is that there wasn't in I think going into the 11th year of the NWSL,
yeah,
we now have a CBA
yeah, I know.
and like okay, so a lot of people might associate a CBA with sports. A CBA is a legally binding contract between an employer and its employees. And it allows you to, yeah, to fight for what is
Right.
legally deserved.
Yeah, and have a standard.
Yeah. And so the
And
fact that for 10 years they didn't have anything.
you think about the amount of talent that is in that league, and they were not quote unquote legally protected for
No.
those years. Ashlyn Harris, Megan
Yeah.
Rapinoe, like these women were talking at the freaking White House
Yep.
and they didn't have a CBA in the
The
NWSL.
the fact that male coaches last year were released for questionable conduct and,
Yeah.
lots of bad things. uh,
Yeah.
I
I
mean,
know.
I guess now is the time because
It
you
because you
survive a year like that, and you literally survive a year like that
yeah,
collectively
absolutely.
and carry on. Huge news. It's
It's
absolutely I just
it's a
gross that
long
it's
time
now,
coming,
but
it's crazy. It's a lot it should have been, you're right, years and years ago, but now with w now with women coming into the league, it just brings up so many questions because now not questions, but it answers a lot of questions
mhm,
because do and this is gonna be an exciting because it opens up a whole new world, like, now women need to get agents.
mhm,
Now women need if
yeah,
they want to pursue this at a professional
mhm,
level like a lot of them have,
mhm,
it's not just like a send yourself out there, be good and see what happens. You get an agent, you get these things in place, you
yeah,
start to, and now it becomes numbers because how could how could somebody put up, 10 goals in a season
mhm,
and then you know what she's making and you put up 15? Well, now there's that standard of, okay, well, my value's there.
yeah,
How can I not be in that same category? So I think it's super positive alongside Trinity
yeah.
Rodman. So
That's a big deal.
that's also a big deal. $1.1 million
Mhm,
contract signed to the Washington Spirit. Trinity Rodman, first ever woman to put pen to paper
mhm.
for $1 million contract.
Yeah, so it's not $1 million annually, it's
Yeah.
$1 1.1 over 4 years, so 275K a year. Not that I don't wanna downplay that, that's still, a huge deal.
Yeah. Yeah.
And all things considering, the fact that her annual salary will be 100 almost 4 times the league maximum because of allocation dollars, like, that's where it gets confusing to me,
Yeah.
where we're used to male sports that have a salary cap, and you get to, as, general manager or whoever in that kind of, like, leadership executive suite,
Mhm.
decide how it's like having one big pie and how many slices do we make.
Yeah, and we went back and forth on that when they were going through the expansion draft, and San
Yeah.
Diego tossed, 2 picks to the side because they knew in the background what they were gonna get is more in allocation money,
And
and
wasn't that offered us some clarity the other day when we were talking,
Yep.
because when we started on that, you're right, because it was like, "I don't understand."
Yeah.
We were like, "Okay, we need to do
How do
some
you
research. Why are you passing up players for, like, what does allocation money mean?" So it's money allocated to teams by the league. And obviously you can also trade that allocation money. And how impactful,
Yeah.
because this contract is essentially propped by 90% allocation money.
Yep. Which which makes the NWSL so unique.
It
Like,
is
it's
it
it's
is super unique. I also wondered, like, for being a 19-year-old, um, again, this kind of goes back to that Liz Cambage, Becky Hammon thing in a way of, like, I really hope that people see
the
the
the future.
future
Yeah.
of what that now allows.
Yeah.
I talked about it in a previous episode, like, remember when Mike Babcock took that
Yeah.
contract with the Leafs, and it set a new standard for NHL coaches.
Yeah.
And this like, I just hope because otherwise, I mean, that's a lot of weight for a 19-year-old to carry.
Could you imagine you're walking into the room and you play for the Washington Spirit, so even just looking around, like, Kelly O'Hara seems
Yeah.
like an incredible person.
Doesn't she?
An incredible person, and to go back to what we were talking about of women lifting women,
Yeah.
she's the host of the Just Women Sports
Yeah.
podcast. She brings on the
Names.
biggest names in women's
Yeah,
sports. She
everyone from,
is
like, Chloe Kim, snowboarder,
Hillary
to
Knight,
yeah,
and
Nelly Korda.
yeah, she's
All the
talked to
people
some
we don't have
people.
access to.
Lots of cool people.
Yeah.
But so she's in that room. So she's clearly established. She's been to the Olympics. She's
Yeah,
done all these things.
for sure.
And you have Trinity Rodman walk into
Yeah.
the room, and so I do agree that there needs to be a level of maturity happening here on both sides of the coin, because at that same time Trinity Rodman has an agent who represents her.
Yeah.
Trinity Rodman wasn't in there saying, "Hey everybody, I
I
won."
made a napkin
Yeah.
contract, sign here.
So it's at the bar and this is what I want.
Yeah.
She had people going to bat for her,
Yeah.
saying, "No, no, no, this is what she's done. This is what she's worth." And they said, "Okay, you're right."
Yeah.
So there's so many positives on this side where it's like, I this is where it needs to go, and this is the same
Mhm.
thing. And we actually, my family are talking about back in the day when it came out that Gordie Howe was
Yeah.
being grossly underpaid,
Mhm.
but nobody knew.
Yep.
So guys that were like fourth line bangers were making however much was big
Yeah,
back
we
in the
don't
day, like
yeah.
15 grand, and he was making 9.
Yeah.
And he was the face and he was the star. So as soon as he found that out,
Yep.
that's when hockey began to change.
Yeah,
So
power and knowledge.
as much as people may be thinking, okay, whatever, we have to remember that this is pushing this in the right direction. It's just going to take a little bit of a period to even things out a bit.
Yeah.